Alright guys, so here we got two Bogen model SPT15A horn speakers. So we're going to be dissecting these two so we can see the differences in the construction. So on the left you got the Korean Bogen horn, which were produced from sometime in the mid 80s all the way up to the mid 2010s. And on the right you got the Chinese Bogen horn, which was produced starting in the mid 2010s till now. So you might notice some obvious differences. For starters, you can notice the cone design, they're different. Also the thickness of the bell is quite noticeable, the rim especially. But there is actually a lot more to this, so we're going to get into that. So starting with this, of course, this is made in Korea. Take a good look at the information chart right there. And alright, I forgot to put the terminals in. Hold on, just give me a sec. Alright, I'm back. So once again, take a close look at the terminals. Take a look at the detail of the terminal strips, the type of screws used here, and that's about it. Now of course, the bass is actually not original. This came from a whole different speaker, but yeah, this is what the bass looks like. Pretty much good in construction. And here is the side profile of this horn. And here is the inside of the horn. And as you can notice, it's bad shape. Notice the design of the cone and the way the badge sits on the cone. So there's that. Now for the Chinese Bogen horn, take a notice at the design of the cone, and you will see immediately there's a difference with the center. So these are regular Phillips screws, and notice how the cone was manufactured, and it is very different. As you can see, the screws on this one are actually bigger than that one. And also, apart from that, these things that connect the cone to the horn itself, notice how this was cut. And you could tell that this was pretty much drilled in much more inwards than this one, which is pretty much centered. Now let's take a look at the side profile. This is your side profile. Here is your terminals. Now of course, first thing you'll notice, this is the original screw, so they use Phillips screws for the terminals too. And they're not small, they're actually thick. They're actually a bit bigger to that one. That one has smaller Phillips screws than this one. Also notice the terminal strips. The little wedges, that's how I call them, that support the wiring, they're not really sticking out that much, so nothing is going to be held up against this. Overall, the shell of this is pretty much similar in design. Information charts. Now, something you may have seen different is these little information tags down here. And of course, made in China. Ooh, made in China. Now, of course, it has this number down here. The number is 53-5624-03B. And then you have another one that says I think it's VOI02. Now, of course, the manufacturers are massively different. This one was made by Shinsung. This one, I have no idea who makes it, or from what date it's from. So this one was made from 2012. This one, I guess, late 2010s or something. Who knows? But anyway, let's keep dissecting these. So we're going to open these two cones now, and after that, we're going to open the drivers. Alright, so here are the two horns with their inner cones taken out, and also this is the little cone in the middle. That is pretty much the cone that will amplify the sound from the voice coil inside. Now here is a drastic difference. So this one uses a aluminum cone. This cone is made of metal. This one, however, is made of plastic. Now, this one looks like that same cone that Quam uses too. Now, it doesn't mean that this is the same manufacturer that makes the Quam speakers, because the Quam is made by a company called Starsonic, as you can see here. This one's not made by Starsonic. As you can see, there is no name of the manufacturer. All I see is the words, the letters B and G on this. But it doesn't mean that Bogen makes their own horns. They don't actually make horns on their own. These are sourced from another manufacturer. Now here are the cones. Here are the cones. They feel massively different in weight. This one feels a lot lighter than this one. And there is a massive difference in the gauge of aluminum. You can almost instantly notice that this one is far thinner than this one here. Yeah, that low pitch. Yeah, this thing is very thin. That lets you know that this one is actually a bit thicker. Now if we take a look at the screws here. Of course, these are the screws holding in the cone. And there is actually a massive size difference once again. That is, this screw here is from the Korean horn, and these are from the Chinese horn. Notice the difference of size in the head. And I think the shank size is also very different too. Yeah, matter of fact, they are. It is very noticeable. So anyway, let's keep going deeper. Here is the portion that matters most, and that is the inside of the horn speaker. Now, as mentioned before, these cones are very different in material. This one uses ABS plastic, this one is metal. Now, for the drivers. Now this one, take a look at the magnets themselves before we take off the magnets, of course. And this is the Korean version. And this was pretty much used by Atlas Sound. This design was, matter of fact, introduced by them with the AP series, or I don't know if it was the AP series, but I think it might go much longer than that. Notice how the magnet is built. So it has this retainer on here that's stuck onto the magnet, and therefore all the pressure is placed evenly. Now take a look at this one here. This one has a magnet that just sits on top of this, and then there's a magnet, another magnet, that sits on top of that same magnet here. Now this one uses a retainer to hold the magnet in place. And this is quite a cheaper design, and it was introduced by Atlas Sound after the Soundolier era, which to me is not really the best design here. Now let's take out the magnets, of course. Alright, can we find some trouble here? More. There we go. Alright. That's one. And for the other one. Alright, so they're the voice coils here. Now, this voice coil is not original. Matter of fact, the voice coil that originally came with the Bogen, the surrounding plastic is white in color, and the inside is pretty much clear. And it did not have as much coil as this one does. This one is actually an Atlas Sound model D11RB. This one is from the late 70s, I believe. And this one came from that Atlas Sound AP15T, the very first one actually, that I no longer have anymore. Here's the magnet itself. And of course, you'll see there, this logo, this is the Shinsung logo. Now, Shinsung no longer makes the Bogen horns. And this is the magnet of the Chinese Bogen horn. And as you see there, there is no manufacturer emblem whatsoever. This is the voice coil. This one's dead, unfortunately, so I might have to use this one to do an audio demonstration. Which will be for another video, of course. Now notice the little amount of coil this thing has. And this will make a lot of raspy noises. It will be very tinny, but after extensive use, this will be very raspy. So both of these sit in place well perfectly, of course. Last but not least, the inside, which is the transformer. Now both transformers look similar. I think both of them use the same gauge wiring, but I think the wiring is the same, so there's nothing different with this. But the way the transformers, and I forgot to zoom in here, the way the transformers are built, this one seems to be using thinner metal to that one. They look similar, but they look like they're built very differently, of course. And it's very evident considering that this portion, it is bent from the inside compared to this one, which is sitting properly and very evenly too. So yeah, that will be, so with this will conclude the comparison of the Bogen horn. So let's assemble them back together, and I'll see you there. So yeah, as you see there, those are the differences between the manufacturer of these two horn speakers. So that will be it for this video. That is the comparison of the Chinese versus the Korean Bogen model SPT15A horn speaker.